whatever your goals are, I think education is just a big part of that. I think the more we can bring that to people as a company, curate it, and I think that's one of the coolest things about the community is that everyone here wants to help each other get better. That's really what it's about. We want more results for our clients.
I just want to kick this off by acknowledging that it's super hard to build a business of any kind. And to do it well and to do it sustainably, it takes, grossly oversimplified, two halves, right? You have the front side, which is the promise, the brand, the sales, the marketing. But you also have, of course, the backside, which is the service, the actual delivery, the customer experience, the actual delivery of success and value with and for the customer. And you need both. But I would suggest that it's a lot easier to build and grow revenue, grow sales by driving the front half. But one of the reasons I was so excited to join Follow Up Boss is because of what you and the team have done, Dan, over the years, which is really win first and foremost on the harder, I would argue, harder half to build a business on, which is customer success. And it's manifest here in this room and in this community, and a lot of it, I know you can't and won't take all the credit, nor should you, but a lot of it is due to the tone that you've set and what you've done over the years, and so I'm excited to kind of get into it.
Awesome, man. Let's do it. Yeah, definitely not all my work, especially FUBCON.
All right. So I'm going to structure this with the same opening question I've asked everyone in that podcast room here and everyone that I'll be asking on the new TeamOS podcast. If you're not following it, realestateteamos.com, by the way. Little product plug. Thank you. So Dan, what is a must-have characteristic of a high-performing team?
Yeah, so when I moved over here from Australia, I was surprised to find that a lot of real estate businesses weren't really run like a business, right? There was a lot of single agents within brokerages. Teams were kind of a new thing. And so the main thing that I've seen is like these amazing operators. A lot of them have been here this week. Billy Hobbs, Chris Lindell, and many other of these teams that I could name, where they really have all the structure, the processes, the SOPs, and they really know their numbers. They're setting goals. They're recruiting, they're marketing, and they're not sort of leaving all these things up to chance. Again, like they're just running it like a business. And I know we're all at different stages. Like when we started our business, like we didn't have all these things, and it doesn't mean you suck if you don't have them all today. But I think it's just taking it seriously. And I think it's also another important thing is because there's a lot of things to run a business. I think you've got to be a super learner essentially. Like you've got to be able to take in content and innovate it on it yourself. And just really keep leveling up, chasing that goal we were talking about backstage, right? So you're at this level and you've just got to get the next one step by step. And then you can build a business and try and remove yourself a little bit. And it's often very grind early years, and then hopefully you can build some structure and step back and have a bit more balance.
Love it. I especially appreciate the super learner. I'm going to put that on and try that on and see how well I could wear that. I like that term. And the idea of consuming the content, and I would say this to anyone attending a conference like this, and it's been said on a stage like this many times before, but it's always worth repeating. It's not just about consuming, it's about taking it and implementing it in the way that makes sense for you and your business. Dan, like everyone in this room, or most of the people in this room, you're both an entrepreneur and a team leader. This has been approximately a 12-year journey. I would love for you to share how your own leadership style has changed, or maybe something you've implemented over that dozen years. What's changed for you in that dozen years from a growing the team, leading the team, serving the customer perspective?
Yeah, I think, I started out like a lot of people where it's, you just need a little bit of help in your business. So you kind of grab a few ragtag, people from here or there, maybe some overseas people. And I think one of the biggest things I've learned is just get the best people you possibly can find. And, when you're starting out, it's hard to do that because you're like, why would this person work for me? And I don't have enough money to hire Ethan, so.
It's not as much as you think. It's very fair.
Yeah, thanks. So, yeah, you've got to level that up, and then you don't know how to manage these people or lead them, to your point. And I think that's some of the things I struggled with early on. And as we grew a little bit, you start to add like one amazing person here, Ashley Lowe in the back corner there. Megan, we hired some great engineers early on, Anthony, Kuno, and many other people on the team, which I can't name everyone now. But that's when you start to again, you can just be like, oh, thank God, someone has the ball, and I trust them, and they're gonna go and score that goal, and I think that's, that was just a game changer for me. And I started to realize also, maybe some people that just didn't want to go in the same direction, or maybe couldn't play at the same level we need to be playing at. And that's an evolution of a team and upgrading and changing, and you're not always gonna go out and just do everything perfect the right time, right? It's messy. Business is very messy. So.
Yeah, I mean, you're I guess too humble a person, in my view, to make this a super interesting question, but I'll ask it anyway. It's an observation. When you bring in, let's say, someone like Megan to build and run and enhance the customer success team, and now you no longer have to pay attention to that. What was that process like for you in terms of prioritizing? I'll go with a simple analogy. So you're wearing 12 hats out of the gate. And then you have the opportunity, you've created the opportunity, you found some success. Now I only need to wear 9. So I'm gonna take 3 off. Which ones do I keep, which ones do I take off? Talk about that process for you of what do you prefer to hold on to? What were you happy to set down? Or, how do you do that decision making? Because I know a lot of team leaders wonder the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think in most businesses, it's like the founder or the person who's the team leader, or you should really be focused a lot on the sales and marketing side of it. And probably the first thing to try and hand off is the delivery, right? So for us, that's onboarding customers, support, things like that. But even that, honestly, I had a hard time letting go. There's people that were here in the early years, I'd be up at night, talking to people, answering tickets. And again, if I could do it again, I maybe would have hired more great people faster, but it's just, going through this journey, it's messy. And yeah, I'd love to say it was perfectly strategic, but it's just a little bit of okay, this person's good at this, let's just let them run with that. And, but yeah, I do think it's some of the delivery, so if you can really be building the systems and bringing great people into those different functions. So obviously for real estate teams, a lot of that is, getting out there, looking after buyers and sellers. I think that's, really one of the things you're trying to step back from. And then how can you create more opportunity, really for everyone. So.
Yeah, it's great. One of the things I really respect about the way you've built this business is the amount of customer contact. I refer to as customer intimacy, truly understanding who they are, truly understanding what they're facing and how she's facing it differently from him, and being aware of that. What is something in all of those conversations that you've had, hours and hours of conversations over the years, what's something you've taken from one of our great real estate customers and implemented in the way that you're running Follow Boss?
Yeah, I think there's this balance in business between a lot of urgency, and so it's sort of this aggressive patience, I sometimes call it, and I think I see that from some of our top teams. They're oh, this is a great idea, we need to do it today. And sometimes that can drive the people in your team crazy because you're always coming back with conferences with every single new idea, right? But I think you do need that bias to action, and I think that's language I've seen from a lot of top people, and it's sort of, the faster you take action, the faster you see if it works and you should keep doing it, or you just see it doesn't work and then you do something different. So yes, some people are almost to a fault, ready to go and do something new, right?
Yeah, it's one of the reasons I love being in an event like this, because you're surrounded with a bias toward action on average. That's the default, it's not the exception. Love it. Slightly different topic. You've made a lot of investments in things that are beyond what a software company is directly obligated to deliver in exchange for a subscription fee or something. And just a few examples. Last year at this event, we collectively announced Dale Archdeacon and his sales training available through Follow Up Boss. This year, of course, Tiffany Galzenis joined us as Realtor in Residence. We introduced Real Estate Team OS as a new show and a content stream that is a layer on top of all of the great product information that we deliver all of the time, realestateteamos.com. And for years, we've been doing things like office hours with Lee Adkins. We've been doing Bosses in Action with Tristan Ahmada. What is your thought or philosophy about these investments beyond software?
Yeah, I guess the way I think about it is, all of our customers have the same software, right? Everyone, at least our customers. And I think a big difference is like people have different levels of motivation, different goals, things like that, like personal circumstances. But also I think there's just a big education sort of gap. And you and Steve talked a little bit about that. And that's, a lot of the content that's coming out on the pod. But for example, like I saw a client like Robert Slack, he went from just being an agent by himself to, having 1,200 people in their brokerage and team and, just this amazing growth. And not everyone wants to have 1,000 people working for them. I don't, right? But it's, whatever your goals are, I think education is just a big part of that. And I think the more we can bring that to people as a company, curate it. I'm not a real estate agent. I've never built a mega team or even a small successful team or even sold a house, right? So again, we've got to get these insights from you guys. And I think that's one of the coolest things about the community is Anthony DeJong was saying to me outside is like everyone here wants to help each other get better. And I think that's really what it's about. We want more results for our clients. Sometimes I tell our team, like, we're trying to build the best product possible, but I honestly don't care if our clients don't use the product. I just want to see them be successful. And that's a principle we've had, sort of since day one.
Yeah, it's great. As I describe the company to people, as I'm talking about, I joined this new organization, I describe what we've done as a culture of customer success. And you just basically said that, and I just basically restated it. So, of course, we are a software company, and we're making investments in software as well. Steve and Tiffany announced over the past couple of days a number of new things that are immediately present or coming very soon. What are a few things that we talked about this week that you're especially excited about for folks?
Yeah, I'm really excited about the inbox apps and also the automations. So with both of those, we're really going to be allowing a lot more things to be done directly in Follow Up Boss, but I'm also excited because it means a lot of our vendor partners and integrations can build cool new things on top of Follow Up Boss as well. And that is, I think, one of the things that sets us apart as a platform, not trying to build it all ourselves. We don't have to build like all the AI technology or all the IDX website technology. We can just work with everyone. And the benefit, obviously, to our customers is they can choose the best systems for them. They can change systems as technology keeps improving. And yeah, so those are a few of the ones. And behind the scenes, like I'm, kind of a part-time, crappy product manager. So I've been involved with both of those, to some extent as well.
Yeah. Shout out to Call Action as well. What do you want Follow Up Boss to be best at for the people in this room and for the rest of our customers?
Yeah, really over the next couple of years, we want to make sure that we stay at the top of the CRM game. Again, build an even better platform, build more integrations, and yeah, just really have the leading product in the market. And separate from that, again, is just results. I want to see our clients thrive and grow their businesses and hit all the goals that they want to hit. So again, it's like this combo of like software and education, I think.
Awesome. Hot topic, and I'd love for you to speak to it in like a very general manner. AI, how are you thinking about it? When did this conversation start coming up? When did it come onto your radar over the past several years? How do you think about it like at a high level, like philosophically?
Yeah, I think, probably started hearing about it when everyone else did. It was about 2 years ago or something, or whenever ChatGPT came out. Definitely fun to play with, We've sort of programmed a few apps through it and like just things. I'm not a programmer, so it's fun, the kind of new things you can do. I think for follow-up bus, though, there's so much data that we have, and there's so much information and so much workflow in the system that it's a bit of a question of like, what are the best ways AI can either speed up that workflow, enhance it, do things better. So yeah, that's a bit of how we're thinking about it. I mean, we're not going to go and hire 100 AI engineers. We can't afford that, but the good thing is there's going to be all these AI vendors, and we're going to take the best technology and build it into follow-up bus through APIs and so on. Again, like for what we've always done is try and look at what's the best technology out there. How does that apply to real estate, and how can that solve real problems for people? Because at the end of the day, no one really cares about AI. They care about like, how can you solve my problems? So.
Absolutely. I mean, the tool is a means to an end, and it needs to work. It needs to be easy. Periodically, it can delight me, but ultimately, it needs to get the job done, and that may be automated, or it may be artificially intelligent. And with that, we're going to roll a quick clip that I think people might be excited about. That's great. That's as good a clap as we got walking out, Dan. Talk a little bit about what we're showing here.
Yeah, so we have a wait list, for our AI beta. Some of the things I think we're going to look at pretty early on is things like call summarization. Again, this is just a great example of like, we have all this data, all these recordings of your sales calls and things you're doing. So how can we make that workflow better? And then once we're summarizing calls, like how can we do things like maybe identifying next steps, giving feedback on the calls? So there's some of the things I'm excited about. And like I mentioned before, like we don't have to build all the AI tech ourselves. We're going to have great integrations with Ylopo, AgentFire, List Assist. Like these are some of the systems that already have AI integrations with follow-up bots, and I know have big plans to do a lot more things, like you guys heard from Howard yesterday. So, that's what I'm excited about, and it's sort of, I think as we build things, we have our customers, you guys, but then we also have our integration partners, which we want to make sure that like they actually thrive and grow, and that's going to help our community as well.
Yeah, really good. And again, FUB.ai, if anyone wants to go check that out and jump on that wait list. A little bit in theme, like I want to double back into this open, flexible platform. It is a CRM, but it's not just a CRM. This language of Team OS. OS is operating system for anyone that's like, what's that OS business? It's an operating system. It's open and flexible. You can plug, you already said this, but like you can plug things in as your business grows and changes. You can change what's plugged into it. You can stop using some things, add new things. As shifts happen in technology, you can plug that into Follow-Up Boss. That's my long tee up too. Rebrand over the summer. A little bit more color in some of the merch this year. Anyone notice that? Lots of new merch. And talk a little bit about what that's about for you. I mean, my high level, I just asked you a question. I'm answering it for myself.
That's why Ethan's so good. We pay him so much.
Yeah. I feel like it's a clearer statement of what this is and what it has been. But like, talk about the rebrand from your perspective.
Yeah, so we started about a year ago. Andrew from marketing really led the charge on it. And we worked with an agency basically to sort of try and help define a bit better who we are. And I guess we felt a little bit like if you knew who Follow-Up Boss was, you kind of liked us and maybe knew a little bit about our culture and community. But like it wasn't really reflected if you just went to our website. You kind of thought like, and actually the agency did this exercise where they showed us our website versus every other real estate CRM's website, and they all looked exactly the same. And so we wanted to sort of stand out a little bit and sort of like be a bit more inviting, maybe reflect, a bit more excitement. And, I think this idea of Team OS, originally when they were tossing that around, we're like, oh, OS sounds a little bit like Silicon Valley, like, does that really apply to us? But especially, I think, when Steve came on and, got really excited about the vision for Team OS and like how we can really build essentially a marketing strategy around it. And with the pod, like, again, like sort of building this vision of like actually interviewing all the top teams, and because we have them all on our platform, we can actually pull out all these insights, and then we can feed that into education, but also like feed it into our teams. So like when they're setting people up, they can do it better, or they're working with people in success or support. And then we can take that back and work on product features, which again are just sort of like pulled from these insights, like we're talking about being close to customers. And I think that's something which can be easy to lose, quite frankly, as you grow. I think one of the other speakers talked about it, like you don't know your clients, right? And once that happens, there starts to be this gap, and you become vulnerable. And I think it's a way for us to just organize and rally around this, again, building better real estate businesses.
Really good. Talk about that language specifically of operating system. I appreciate that there's like, well, how does this fit? I feel like it characterizes what an open, flexible platform is better than CRM does.
Yeah. I think CRM, we did like that it was like a little bit different. And yeah, that's you kind of summed it up already. Like that's really our goal. When we started, we were like, let's not be CRM, let's be lead management. Then over time, we're like, okay, we're a CRM because that's the word everyone uses. And then now, I think it really does reflect a lot more of who we are. And again, we can probably even talk more about that to integration partners and other people in the industry, so that they feel comfortable integrating with us, knowing that we're not trying to compete with them, even if we have maybe some overlapping features, things like that. We're actually trying to just add more value and solve more problems together.
Yeah, and I think when I think about kind of all-in-one as a concept, obviously it has limitations. It's also at some level a promise of value. And I think it's very obviously in contrast with the openness and flexibility. And so I feel like a position against that as an operating system rather than this kind of closed box scenario isn't a manufactured point of differentiation. It's just fundamentally a difference in philosophy, and it's a philosophy you've held all along.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I guess it's like if you're on a Mac or Windows, and right, like if you could only download like Microsoft apps, like no one would really be on board with that. So I think what really happens at a lot of businesses is you start thinking about, well, how can I grow revenue, right? And the simplest way to grow revenue is sell more things to your existing customers. And I think that's where a lot of these companies end up, where they're trying to sell the websites and the IDX and the paid marketing and the CRM. And then it's just challenging over time because, again, technology changes. It's challenging to be good at all those things. And so, our view is, again, like, if we don't have the best whatever, say, automations feature. If you want to use a different one, like Daniel Poston's working on his version and doing some things that we're not doing right now, you can go and use that. If you want to use Zapier instead of our automations builder, great, you can use it. So, again, it's really trying to look at it through the customer lens. Like, we're not trying to just lock you in and capture like all your sort of like wallet share for software. It's like, let's just be this, operating system in the middle, and then let you plug and play. And when we got started, I just knew very clearly that lead sources is one of the key things that changes over time. Like, you're not going to be using the same lead source in 10 years, most likely, right? So it just made a lot of sense to me that you have to disconnect yourself from being locked in. Yeah.
Give us a quick go. You just shared something like, this is how I saw it. It seemed intuitive and obvious years ago, and now it's baked into who and what we are with and through and for our customers. Take us all the way back. For folks that aren't familiar, like I've listened to you on a number of shows. I do my homework not just for an event like this, but before I joined the company, I'm like, is this who I think it is? Is this what I think it is? And it is. So I'd love for you to welcome people that aren't as familiar into some of the origins. Like, take us back as far as you want to. Like, what are one or two moments or decisions that you look back on now and you're really glad you made those decisions?
Well, yeah, before we started Follow Up Boss, I used to work with Tom, my co-founder, who's here somewhere. Yeah, we wouldn't be here without Tom. So, I quit my job. We were working together in Sydney, Australia, and Tom just came up to me one day and he said, Dan, I think we should start a SaaS business. And I said yes, because I was unemployed.
Yeah.
So that was one, saying yes was good. And then, I think we had this vision to create like a small business CRM. Like that was sort of the initial vision. We didn't think there was anything really powerful enough, but like easy enough for small businesses at the time. There were just limited options. And then we ended up joining a course. It was called The Foundation. And that really taught a lot of skills that I was missing. That was started by Dane Maxwell. He has another product in the space, Paperless Pipeline Transaction Management System. And some of the key skills around sales, marketing, and one of the key things was this process called idea extraction, right? So some people, when they're starting businesses, they're like, I like video games, so let me start a video game business, right? But do people need more video games? It's arguable, and are you good at that? So I just started talking to a lot of real estate people in the US and trying to just understand what their problems were and trying to just trying to figure out what did they really need. I think Steve Passanelli had sold them all Top Producer. Where are you, Steve? And I kept hearing that they just weren't using it. And then people were starting to buy all these online leads, and they didn't automatically flow into the system, right? So we just realized that was a big problem, very important for the sales process, and very clearly something we could automate. And I would say joining that course was also something which is just kind of pivotal. And I think what maybe people could take away from that is, and you guys are all doing it because you're here, but it's you don't have to work everything out by yourself. I really do think if you can pay to learn something from someone that's done it before, it's a much better path, it's a much faster path. And I learned more in 6 months than 4 years of university. It's I did a business degree, and this was a master class on sales, marketing, psychology, just from a really smart person that, I just think really started the trajectory of Follow Up Boss. Yeah.
Any other books, courses, podcasts, getting introduced to people's ideas or philosophies, any other pieces helpful on your own entrepreneurial journey?
Yeah, I think we look up to Basecamp as a company. We use it obviously internally as our.
We use it a lot.
Yeah, I'll be pinging Ethan at 11 p.m. last night. Check out this link. But yeah, they talked a lot about starting a company, without VCs and this sort of expectation of being the next Amazon and that kind of thing. And I think that really resonated with me and Tom when we're starting the company. We told the story a little bit last year, but we started the company with $1,500. I think we both put in $1,500, so it was $3,000 total. And then, I think we spent $10 on a domain name. I'm not sure we even spent that money. But yeah, the point is, I guess, we really started from the ground up, put in a lot of sweat equity. Most people start their real estate teams. You're not getting handed all this money from, VCs or some other source. And yeah, I think that just some of their, they're very focused on craft of building software and solving problems. And again, that just resonated with us, and I think helped us see that oh, that's a path someone's done before, and maybe we could do that instead of maybe being led by only sales and marketing, and software was kind of oh, we just need it because we need something to sell,
Yeah. Yeah, it's sometimes a thin line between vaporware and software. Yeah. And you can sell both, just one of them delivers. Were there any moments that were treacherous? I'm thinking about some of the entrepreneurs I've worked with over the years, and it's yeah, there were a couple times we almost didn't make payroll because ... And it doesn't have to be financial, but what were a couple things where some of the most harrowing moments or weeks or months of this journey that has brought us all here?
Yes, someone asked me out the other day, and I couldn't really think of anything, and
I'm glad they did, because here we are.
Yeah,
Got something in your pocket.
reflected on it a little bit more. I think the thing with follow-up bosses, I mean, we started in 2011, and again, we're seeing this massive rise of people buying online leads and this massive rise of teams, and we really rode both of those waves, right? And sort of, it's basically been a bull market for the last 12 years, right? And it's sort of obviously slowed down a bit now. And so everything was always up and to the right, like our growth, It's sort of like a very good problem to have. But I think, especially, I don't know, maybe 6 years ago, like Tom Ferry showed, he has this graph of everything's up and to the right, which is fantastic, but you're struggling to keep up with that as an entrepreneur, right? Because maybe you're not upgrading your own mindset fast enough, you're not becoming the leader you need to be, you're not stepping into that CEO role, you're holding on to being the founder. Maybe you've got some people on the team that don't quite believe, that maybe the wrong people. Any kind of politics creates so much friction and we just absolutely hate that really at Follow Up Us. We all want to sort of be going in the same direction. And I think there's been that's what I think was really one of the toughest times where I just didn't know what to do. I'm everything's growing so fast. I don't know who to hire, who to fire, how do I lead all these people? And again, it's just sort of trying to keep up, right? It's like you guys might resonate if you've just you've had this problem of too many deals, too many leads, and it can be overwhelming. It's a positive thing, but it's okay, well now I need to have the infrastructure in place to handle all that growth. And I think, when we didn't, that was something that was incredibly stressful. And yeah, some days I would just literally be in the fetal position in my office, just going, what the hell are we gonna do, But yeah, it's been a great ride, I would say. But yeah, just not without challenges and stress.
Yeah, I would say anything that results in being on the floor of any room, including an office, in the fetal position qualifies as harrowing. How much pressure do you put on yourself, or how much pressure does the core team put on us to grow at some particular rate? Or is it, because I feel like what you told was a story of natural growth, but how, in this race to hold on, how much pressure do you feel or put on yourself around that?
Yeah, I think, again, because we've just sort of been riding this wave, we never really put a lot of pressure on oh, we need to grow 30% next quarter. Actually, for a long time, we never even really thought in quarters. We were just let's just do the thing we should be doing right now. And it's sort of again, a little bit of that urgency. Some people might get to November and be oh, we'll plan this stuff for next year. Many years of Follow Up Us, we're just shipping feature after feature. November, December, kind of, yeah, just really just trying to keep pace and add value and, build a great product. But yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I like this kind of fight against arbitrary pace and arbitrary dates. Let's just do it. We should be doing this.
Yeah. I think one thing is as we become a bigger company, now I think we're realizing and we have put in place already some structure and goals, and we're realizing maybe that is a useful tool to some degree, and it doesn't have to be this crazy we're gonna, the world's gonna end if we don't hit this goal or something. But I think it becomes healthy because you're trying to make sure everyone is going in the same direction, and it's a bit harder than when there was 10 people and you could just talk with them all, right? So yeah, I think there's a place for it. But yeah, we honestly operated for, I don't know, maybe the first 8 years without any of the goals that any software company would have. Yeah.
Yeah, and I would say that's also a privilege and challenge of being self-funded.
Yeah, I think that's part of it as well. If you've got investors, then they're going to be Dan, you need to grow like this, right? And that's fair enough because they've put money in, and that's their expectation. So again, some of that structure can be helpful. But yeah, I think what it's allowed us to do specifically, though, is, because imagine we were in that scenario, maybe we would be behind on our numbers, and then we'd think, oh, why don't we sell websites? Or why don't we just sell leads to all our clients, right? We have lead management, CRM. Seems like an obvious thing. But because we didn't have those sort of those goals to maximize revenue every quarter or whatever, we could just think a bit more long term. And again, like I think ultimately it's built a we could argue we could be a bigger company revenue-wise, but I think it's allowed us to partner with people and really have a different offering in the market. So
yeah, fair. Bigger is not always better. Any fun stories come to mind over the years? Things that you enjoy telling or that people seem to enjoy hearing?
Oh, geez, I think I wrote down 2 here. Let me see. Oh yeah, this one's from last FUBCON. So.
All right. Recent history.
Yeah. So I think John Chaplak had just given one of his awesome talks. A bunch of the big guys are back there: Chris Lindau's, Justin Havers, all these guys, and they're all looking at each other's Rolexes. So John's like, I got this one. Chris is like, I just ordered this rose one. Look at this. And I'm like, oh, I got my Apple Watch here. It tracks my heart rate and sleep.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
And then when we were getting started, I was actually living for a little bit with my girlfriend at the time in Germany. And sort of we had like the slowest internet possible. I was making sales calls over Skype. This is before a Follow Up Boss had calling built in, very early days. And because the internet connection was so weak, on the sales calls, we would be hearing, like it would just drop out basically. So like we'd be talking, and then like for like 20 seconds, I wouldn't hear what you're saying. And then I would just come back and be like, okay, yeah. And so it was pretty challenging, but it was an interesting way to learn sales. And then we ended up, my wife's Turkish, we ended up moving to Turkey at, after that, and they had fiber internet, and I'm like, oh, this is so much easier. I can hear what people's objections are, what they're saying. And I just thought that was another little funny tidbit.
That's good. I appreciate any interesting way to learn sales.
Yeah.
So this is the present of Follow Up Boss as a company, as a product, as a community. Thanks to everyone for being here. We saw a little bit of look to the future. I would love for you, whether you're in your mind now, FUBCON 2024, which by the way, we'll be talking about some nice opportunities for that in a minute. FUBCON 2024 or even 2025, when you're looking back at this next window in front of us, what are you really excited to have put in place or seen change or followed through on? What do you really want to see for all of this, as you look back from a year or two in the future?
Yeah, I just want to see us keep up the momentum, keep bringing great teams onto the platform, keep providing great product, great service, and again, like those things are easy to say. Oh, we just want to have the best product, or we just want to have the best customer service, but our team's really working hard every day to make sure that happens, and I think that's something which we just never need to get complacent about. Make sure that it just always stays at like the core of who we are. Otherwise, I think I think we'll lose something pretty special. And then I'm really excited about the pod and Team OS and really where the education's going. I feel like we've been doing all these things in previous years, like you mentioned, but I think there's a way that it's going to get wrapped together better and hopefully deliver a lot more value, to our clients, really, and and even people that are not clients yet. So,
super. I'm going to end this, Dan, the way that I end all these podcast episodes, and there are 3 pairs of what I think are fun questions, or interesting ones anyway, and you only have to answer one. So the first one is, what is your favorite team, as in like favorite team to root for or support, besides Follow Up Boss, or what is the best team you've ever been a member of, besides Follow Up Boss?
Yeah, those are good questions. I would say Basecamp. We already talked about them, but I just admire them focusing so much on their craft, and they've been doing it for 20 plus years, and I think that's also an interesting thing in the tech world. I feel like there's a lot of pressure to build something massive and then exit in 5 years, and I think we've been doing this over 12 years now, and I just like that the founders are still like operators and very like deep in the product and craft. Yeah.
Yeah, really good. By the way, you're mentioning Basecamp reminds me that I need to go back and read Rework.
Oh yeah.
That's one of my favorite books I ever read. I mean, it's a fast read. It's like this kind of thought-provoking, playful, smart, sharp. I felt like it really captured the culture of what they're doing.
Yeah, I think all their books are great, and yeah, some of them are fun to read too.
Cool. Rework is the book. What is one of your most frivolous purchases, or what's a cheapskate habit that you hold on to, even though you probably don't need to?
Actually, Sam, our COO, was at my house the other day, and we were kind of lamenting, like I buy so much stupid stuff now, and I'm like, Sam, check this out. It's like this, I think it's called a Subnado underwater scooter. You like attach it to your arm, and like you zip around like your pool, or if you're scuba diving or snorkeling or whatever. So yeah, I thought that was pretty dumb. I just saw it on Amazon. I thought, yeah, this looks awesome. I bought it.
Okay, how long ago did you buy this?
This is 3 months ago.
Okay, how many times have you used this?
0 times.
Yeah, okay. I'm not even going to ask about the price. Final pair of questions. How do you prefer to continue learning, growing, and developing yourself? Or how do you prefer resting, relaxing, and recharging?
Yeah, honestly, I use podcasts and YouTube for a little bit of both. I like to really, just listen to podcasts, like how I built this, business podcasts. Probably waste too much time on YouTube, but also consume like business content and things there. I think earlier on in my business journey, I'd be reading a lot more books and things, but don't really find that much time for it these days. So I just prefer a podcast, like while I'm working out, or YouTube while I'm lying in bed or something like that. Yeah, that's kind of how I keep up with it.
Awesome. Same. Big podcast listener.
Yeah, if only there was a team podcast.
Real Estate Team OS.
Yeah.
That's the one. Cool. Well, thank you so much for sharing this, Dan. I appreciate you so much. I'm happy to be here. I'm so glad we could all be here together. I heard there are food trucks.
Yeah, I think we might get the Full Out Bus team up on stage here, and then, yeah. Thanks, bro.
Thank you.